when you find an empowered woman, or man, or they for that matter, well, we had a short, okay? So watch the short if you'd like, but an empowered woman, yeah, we don't look to how to keep a man or a person really in general. We know about enjoyment, this thing called I'm a safe haven, secure base. Okay, whether you are polyamory or monoamory, you know if you're a safe haven or secure base, and the solo poly, we're our safe haven, secure base. Why? Because it's not a solo journey, it's that I know how to regulate this thing called Maria's nervous system. I'm attachment trauma informed, and people who want to do personal development and self help seriously, and they're okay with a 5D mystic woo woo lady in the enlightenment soul age group, though, and there's no laundry here. There's a buttload of emotions, and love and fear, we've been talking, they go hand in hand. Why? Because my body and my embodied brain keep me safe. Now, I have a childhood centric environment, not childhood trauma. So I know all about self regulating thanks to my so called primary caregiver, not so called, but the number one consistent, contingent communicating caregiver that allowed me to be all the whining that I could be and did not fear in any way, shape, or form monger me. So I never felt helpless, hopeless, or that I could or should be ashamed or defective or any of it. Okay. Okay, so with that being said, I also have a twin. That's important to note because we're mammals, and so I don't know this loneliness. So let's remember to organize. Maria, your host, only knows love. Fear, I know very well. It's my dominant emotion for anything that I don't want to do. You will not convince me the sky is falling. I'm going to go with my plan, not your plan. And anyone who knows me, that's why I have a plaque. It's called Bossy. Okay, so that's where it's not rigidity or chaos in the way that those who do not have secure attachment function. But on the external, people who will see an unflappable, secure attachment, empowered woman, yes, this is why. As a teenager, you know what I ended up finding out? One, the grown-ups were right. Adolescents are all very, very not great decision makers. I'm going to be nice about it. So they're Pinocchios with bodies made of wood and the ears and the tail, and unfortunately, maladaptive children and adaptive children who are grown adolescent human beings out of the 12 to 24 years of age. They apparently will think of movies like Hangover and Mean Girls and then go and flaunt around Peter Pan's and Wendy's as lost boys, lost girls, and they all wear mantles of mental health, mantles of yoga, mantles of spirituality. They're spiritual bypassers, basically. They're also people who have not recovered their own trauma stuff because they're prancing around with generalizations, stereotypes, and those studies have found what studies? I learned from therapists. So there's a number of studies that have shown people who stay in PTSD, why, versus those who get out of it. And trauma can involve big trauma, small trauma. Now, we all have trauma charges. So these words, I try to use them the best I can, but I'll fuck it up, mix it up. And we know that there's a lot of people who just use words randomly, and I can be one of those people too. Okay, so we do concepts here, not truths. Don't use your linear brain. I don't do linear. Don't try and do a list. I don't do lists. I do, here's where I'm talking about something, and you can enjoy yourself. If you're list taking and you're really having a hard time, you want someone who's giving you how to be. Okay, that's not going to be here. So when you do want how to be, then we do, okay, let's have a consultation, one-to-one mentorship, check out what I offer, inner growth mindset, and then we'll speak. But I'll also let you know we're going to soften what is self-doubt, because the minute you're taking a list like that, I know you have what is a 16-year-old's attitude. It's not a judgment. Again, fear is my ruler. Panic attacks show it all. And then again, my light body expansion. As a mystic, I channel. So the capacity to channel comes because of being open, okay, and receptive. But let's put that aside because I want to get to the fun stuff. Empowered women, yes. When we hear some sentences, I cannot believe this Venus, a goddess of May, she just keeps getting better and better. Anytime I'm running across her content, I'm like, what the hell? Which women are following this? I know which ones are, but the truth about keeping a man, men need for you to let them open a door. But women have learned that they have to rely on their own two hands and their own 2 feet. And I've met women like that. Yes, they're called avoidance. and they're afraid of love, and you can tell because they keep on getting into the push and pull with other avoidance and other anxious. So the love dependence, they got porousness, this, yes. Any healthy self-worth human being knows confidence. It's not pretend. Oh, in fact, we don't cancel, block, unfriend people. There's one human being in my life that I said I'm not talking to anymore, and it's a friend of mine. We're talking again. And the reason why I love all my herd of my oversoul is because all I need is one time to have understood something and then to not repeat it again with people. Okay, so people are consistently uncertain until they're not. And if you're not an expanding piece of consciousness, you're going to be a 1224 on repeat. And I'm going to notice your parakeet because that's what a maladaptive child and adaptive child behavior person is. They're not evil, Knievel, medieval of the stories. I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. Let me repeat that. I channel guidance. I do past life regressions. I do Akashic reading regressions. Again, I'm okay with woo-woo because I respect human sciences. In fact, I don't call neurobiologists, neuroscientists, or neuroanatomists pseudoscience. And I find it ridiculous when I see on YouTube people who don't know the difference between a human being who's an academic, who is accompanying their research findings with their stories. So, of course, I understand the term, but you making a statement as if this person is telling you bullshit. No, who's telling you bullshit is somebody who shares with you there's a type of people who lack the imagination for evil. That's a bullshit statement because there isn't imagination with evil. There is a term called evil. There's a Michael Stone, forensic criminologist, who lists in a very organized manner with his own data and research what 1 to 22 scale of evil are. They all need therapists, number one. So imagination has nothing to do with it. The minute I have quantitative with a qualitative data analysis of a person who's in academia and anybody who comes from a path, oh, I have a master's. I just don't want to do academia because I'm not wanting to, I want to help people to be their self. It's very nice to know how to get you home to your own true 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and 3-year-old. And no, it's not, I found it hard to believe. No, anybody who finds it hard to believe that you got emotions, thoughts, and imagination, well, I guess you don't know what it means to be human. Again, I'm not a flat earther. I'm just woo-woo because mysticism. We believe in the reality of the invisible. It's not just a belief. We have a direct relationship, which is also why any person in my life that will walk with me will not be using the term woo-woo. You don't have to believe in any of it, but to use the word woo-woo, that's disrespectful to a person who has a relationship. Although I've moved beyond spirituality as a concept of belief for reasons that we won't discuss here, I respect and honor what I know that those of us who do embody a specific capacity with compassion and love. This is all I'm going to say. So when you see women who are not empowered stating things and looking pretty, you got to say, okay, women, where are ya? Because I know you already know if he's going to fuck you, he ain't going to marry you. And when you hear men who also have the same prancing around 7 to 14 charming, oh, when they say why men don't call you back and how after fucking you, basically, they're going to feel disgust, contempt, and shame. And I'm thinking, means they got a shame cycle. Means they didn't get their 3-year-old in check. Oh, shit, they don't have their 1-year-old. Oh, wait a minute. I think they're doing that thing of teenagers who have fear of, what is it again? Inadequacy. But they know how to voice that they feel like piece of shit. I've met men, women, and theys who do this one night stand thing. Yeah, and anytime they'd be like, I feel worse than before, I would say, well, why are you doing it? You don't have to. You know, you have choices. No, yes, you have choices. Well, I don't know. So the part about I don't know, there's not I don't know. There's you can claim what is inside, which is called emotions and thoughts, and say, oh, I'm a self. I'm a human. I have a solo self. I have a narrative self. I have a, what was it, Daniel, his lovely courses that I take. Give me words to use. Hold on a minute. Let me find them. But again, don't organize. Relational self. So yourself in relationships, the sense of self. And you have a core self. Okay, so use your name. But we all live here in 5D collective land, which is IHP and anybody else who knows about our human herd. So we don't hate, dislike, or mistrust humans. We are humans. Called consciousness and change. I don't feel changed. I feel more expanded. But the ones who will feel changed is because they get home to their 1-year-old and they get rid of the shame defectiveness thing. and they tell their inner child, hey, it's okay. We're in our prefrontal cortex now. Don't worry. We're going to work with our adaptive child behaviors and maladaptive child behaviors, and we will be okay when men don't call us back and use us as objects, because we will have learned a data point about that very specific man, which is they're not a man, one. They have an issue with shame, two. They need a good therapist, three, or personal development, four. And they might as well meet up with the lady who teaches women about the truth about keeping a man, so that they may find women that may come. I'll help you open my door for me. I'll make sure to, and then you have that push pull stuff, and they all talk about boxing gloves and highs and lows, and that's because none of them have grown up inside to become their own safe haven. I was saying, so safe haven means I can self-regulate. I got lucky. I got a mom who taught me how to self-regulate. She didn't scare me, and I have a twin, so I didn't have the capacity to be alone at all, except for the incubators, which I didn't like. I was moving around the whole time, very upset that they took me away from my other human, and my other human stayed alone by herself. She's not mine. We're ours. And then again, we're not ours. We're not property. So let's get back to the topic, shall we? And so, yeah, empowered women. When I hear phrases like keeping a man, so one time people told me a long time ago, this was my teenage boyfriend, you let him get away. I said, what? You let him get away. You weren't jealous. Yes, I have compersion. It's called confidence. I can share a man without being afraid of being replaced. There's nobody like me. I even have a twin. Don't you know what confidence emotionally and mentally mean? I'm wondering, where's the grown-up version of you? Don't you know how to feel inside? Aren't you a real boy, real girl, real day? Pinocchio, real body yet? When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. So today I'm in one of those moods. Because I think of all the people who basically say, no, you're so naive and so stupid. Well, I think that what I am is a person who believes in others. I also think I don't live the movies. So really, what I learned as a teenager was lies have short legs, because all the knots come to the comb. What I learned with attachment trauma is that a 1-year-old and 3-year-old who are brokenhearted will repeat the same first 8 years of their life on go, with an attachment system, and then their social system, which moves into their peers. Adolescent, I was already an adolescent, so it's very mechanical and mathematical. And then as a 44-year-old woman, I get to see the Pinocchios with the bodies made of wood, the ones with ears and tails. So some of them I get to help because they don't want to stay that way. They say, yeah, I want to do mindfulness. You know what? I want to do those exercises of the inner growth mindset. Oh, yeah, I want more of, yes, yoga. Give me yoga. I know there's no demons. I trust you because I see that you are a mystic. Because you come up with the, no, I don't come up with the, they know my stories. Anytime I share about my future husband and my future kids and my future, and even the fact that I now know in my future where I'm going to go next, they all laugh. And I'm like, it's true. I know it to be true. But I know that it can't be proven. So, hey, I don't have to. I can't, even if I wanted to. That's the whole point. Okay, so I'm just saying. But mystics, come on over 5D, because the 4D, they're on Elsa's journey, and they don't seem to want to get home to their whole 3-year-old heart. So they're really losing a lot of beautiful time. Aliveness is what you see. It's called restorative embodiment, self-awareness. It's called emotional awareness. You can all get here, but if you want laundry in your body, there's a Zen master for you. He tells you that this is not possible. Like people when they say, you cannot always be on, and that is really interesting. What do you mean? If you are securely attached, you can, because your 1-year-old is yours, not another body's. It's in your brain. It's here, embodied brain. So once you've made terms with, I am a solo self. Why? Well, I can actually be unseen by others. It's called discard. Doesn't anybody know? I move beyond the concept of the one. There's a reason for that. Obviously, anyone will be smart enough to know. But don't worry. We don't get into the whole dark night of the soul, ego, death, and drama. No, that's because I have a good window of welcome to my emotional plane, because I'm a real girl. And I'm an emotional girl, so anyone who will say you're too much, yeah, you're too little then. You can't hold it. You're not a man in my book. You don't do emotions. A human man does emotions. I don't know where you're thinking the void comes from. I know where it comes from. It's not pretty. To get back home, it takes time, but it takes your willingness. So again, you're 1-year-old. Anybody who wants to tell me about a story, I'm like, yep, sure, keep on talking. I'm going to leave it alone because it's probably better for me not to answer you. And I'm not joking right now, because that's the part of where when I have been around men who have sensitive egos, but they're completely unaware of it, while they may think that everything is going fine, I'm feeling stuff from in here. And you know what happens when you meet smart people, men, women, and days, who hear what I just said and they get it? They understand, because that's what it means to know we have an emotional plane with a sense of self that stays with us from our first year of age, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. But these generalizations and stereotypes, the truth about keeping a man, the fact that people, when they told me about me losing someone, I said, he's not my dog. I didn't have him on a leash. I don't use a chain. That's not how relationships work, and I'm not jealous. It's ridiculous. He wants to be happy. I want him to be happy. And he found happiness. And in fact, that's why I was happy when he found happiness. Was I sad? Yes, it's called connection. It's called, oh, I'm going to process something. It's not called, oh, Maria's a piece of shit and inadequate because somebody dumped her. Did not anybody learn as a teenager? There are many fish out in the sea. This is the one thing that every time my teenager and then adolescent, young adult friends, I'd be like, don't you know there's more out there? No, Maria, they're all the same. Well, if you keep telling yourself that, of course they are. And then when people seek this, keeping a man, I'm like, wow, okay, that's a human suffering love person. It's a 1 year old who's not noticing that there is a person at home. And I'm just going to say, yes, our mammalian heritage wants to share life with another. If you learn attachment trauma and become an independent 1 year old, you're going to learn how to feel quite at ease, because it's easy to say, I am worthy, and feel it, not just speak it. Okay, so when you have healthy self worth, woman, man, or they might you be, you're not trying to keep a man, a woman, or they. And when a man doesn't call you back after basically using you, well, nobody uses anyone, because it's a two-pair game in this case. And so you learn that's not a real man. Same thing if a girl, woman, right? So girl, woman, boy, obviously of age, I'm saying, when people, I'll use this days, when people decide to do something that the movies make look cool and normal, by the way, and like it's part of the romance, which is not. No, it's not romance. Romance needs people who actually know what it means to behave with decency. The people who didn't have that and still don't, we're trying to get out of transgenerational trauma, cultural trauma, and generalizations and stereotypes don't get people anywhere, because they're generalizations and stereotypes in the absence of looking at the 1 year old, the 2 year old, the 3 year old. And the 1 year old is the number one place where, when you see human beings online doing things like, well, the therapist said I'm doing a good job. And since humans are fucked up, might as well just, I don't want to do journaling and mindfulness. You obviously didn't get explained what integration is, but you're not motivated enough either, because you're accustomed to this heartbreak stuff, and you think of movies of drama as if that is actually what love is. So no, push and pull is not you in a state of love. Push and pull is a dynamic of suffering. This is why we have the human suffering love narrative. We got Pinocchios with a wooden body with ears and a tail on the island. It's not to insult anyone. It's in 2024. There are therapists out there, personality disorder experts, trauma experts, you name it. I got a buttload of lists. They are all working with people who are getting themselves out of the maladaptive child and adaptive child behavior. The scale of evil, if they end up in prison, we got laws, we go vote. There's very much organized. There's no need to demonize, romanticize, or use imagination, for that matter, for evil or good. No, because what I see is people out there. And when you follow Peter Pan's and Wendy's, well, I'm going to know which group you're in, because the only reason to follow Peter Pan or Wendy in this way about relationships, the truth about keeping a man, is, well, why men don't call you back. And it's a bunch of people that I know out there still doing the same things who I disengage from conversing with, because the minute that I perceive the 1 year old and 3 year old, I feel bad. Like, let me out. They won't let you out. I'm so sorry. I can't keep talking. I'm going to start getting ruffled feathers, and I'm not here to make any proof of anything. I was just having a conversation with people who I thought were adults, but they're not. They're emotionally adolescents who think they're still badass in some way, shape, or form, with generalizations and stereotypes, and it's not badass at all. It's limited consciousness, limited energy, and then there's the Cusco attitude. So when you have to deal with the Cusco attitude, so yeah, I don't. Intellectual, emotionally mature people, come on over. Let's have nice, expanding conversations, and leave alone the ones who want to, do human suffering love. Hey, they think people are fucked up. They don't want to do the emotional lifting, the mental lifting. They don't want to do the mastery, the inner growth stuff. They don't want to be empowered. They want to keep saying they're empowered, but they do so with that other energy. We're going to do it with love. And again, fear, it keeps us physically safe. And some people, luckily for us, they don't have dominant fear. It is really good, which is why we complement each other as a herd. I know that I have a lot of hugging that I want to do, but I also know that I have a lot of fearing that I do. So I'm happy that there's other herd members in my herd that know how to not be afraid. And imagine if we were all afraid. That would not work really well at all. So yeah, this is why we're a herd. Sid, Diego, Manny, and some of us we're okay with being what we are. No, all of us. When you're healthy, self-worth, but we all participate. And we strengths and weaknesses come together and treat each other the best we can. Direct communication, functional adult love language. Tune in for more. Again, thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe.